NBA on ESPN continues Wednesday, 8 o'clock. The Rockets take on the Timberwolves. That's on ESPN. And the nightcap, the Warriors go into Portland to take on Dame and the Blazers. All-Star Celebrity Game is this Friday on ESPN. Don't miss it. Jay Williams will be there, and Quavo Honcho, MVP from last year, will be there as well. Every morning, get up with the Get Up crew. They'll be discussing Harden's damage versus Dallas, and of course, the Duke Blue Devils national championship hopes. A lot of things happen in the world of sports that are breaking news, but for people that watch this show closely, a lot of it is broken news.
To everyone else, it's breaking news. To Jalen and Jacoby listeners, it's broken news.
We've been talking about the chemistry on the Celtics for quite some time and how Kyrie Irving ended up in the green, but not necessarily by choice. Just by they had an opportunity to bring him there. And now we have this. On Saturday, the Celtics hosted the Clippers and were up by 28 points in a basketball contest. They didn't just lose the game. They lost the game by 11. Now, Kyrie Irving did go out of the game. He's only got a sprained knee. He'll be back. But after the game, one of the team leaders and veterans, Marcus Morris, had this to say about the Celtics.
It's not fun, man. It's not fun. We're not competing at a high level. Even though we're winning, it's still not. It's just not fun. I don't see the joy in the game. I watch all these other teams around the league, guys up on the bench, they're jumping on the court, they're doing all, other stuff that this look like they're enjoying, their teammates' success, they're enjoying everything, and they're playing together, and they're playing to win. And when I look at us, I just see a bunch of individuals.
That's not the Morris twin from the Wizards. That's not a Morris that plays for the Hawks or the Magic or one of the teams at the bottom of the table in the Eastern Conference. This is a player not having fun on a winning team. Jalen Rose, you've been in locker rooms for over a decade. What does this mean when you hear this?
I came through the door, said it before. Danny Ainge has become the Bobby Fischer of the NBA. Chess master, the wizard. So much so, he's fleeced NBA GMs to the point where he has the assets to acquire Anthony Davis right now and can't do it because he has Kyrie Irving. That's how amazing of a job he's been doing. But he's not been flawless. Giving Gordon Hayward the maximum didn't necessarily pan out because he's not currently a starter. And I've said the entire season, I would cash those chips in and try to come up with another commodity. Because once a team makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals and Rozier becomes Scary Terry, Jaylen Brown shows all-star level potential, Jason Tatum shows that he has all-star potential. Yet in the second year, D'Angelo Russell makes the all-star game and he doesn't. Now all of a sudden you start to reevaluate roles on the team. And what he's talking about, teams on the bench having fun, rooting for one another, those are squads where everybody not only knows their role, but in every team sport, accept your role and master your role. For the Celtics players, they have not been able to do that. I felt like it was not going to take place. And when the when the trade deadline happens, if you notice, and this is where I go back to Ainge, all of the top teams were able to make moves to improve their squad. The Celtics didn't do it because they're already talented. So very talented that this squad is actually underachieving. So therefore, I believe they won't meet their goals this year, winning the East in particular. I also feel like Kyrie Irving will bolt from the Celtics at the end of this year. So now all of a sudden, it's going to look a lot different. And lastly, Brad Stevens, who has become one of the best coaches in the NBA, now has an issue with getting guys to not only play their roles, but accept their roles and master their roles. That's an issue for a Celtic team that has a terrific amount of talent on its roster.
We always talk about addition by subtraction, but this is actually subtraction by addition. Like, they almost have so many good players that they have unhappy players. Scary Terry can't be unhappy with his minutes. Jaylen Brown, his productivity has gone way down since last year. He can't be happy with it. Jason Tatum, all I hear from him is about how he's going to play in the Pelicans next year. This cannot be good for the locker room. This cannot bring everyone together, this sort of uncertainty about the future, and especially with Kyrie now backing off his commitment, or I'm sorry, his engagement to the Celtics. This is going to be something that's going to be very intriguing. And if they do not make the Eastern Conference Finals, Kyrie Irving will leave the team. That is my prediction, and that will be broken news, I don't know, right around July 2nd of this year. Moving on, there was a tight game over the weekend between the Mavs and the Blazers. The Mavs very much out of the playoffs. The Blazers needing the win, but guess what? Luka Doncic showed up to ball. He took over in the fourth quarter. He had 28 for the game, 13 points in the fourth quarter. The entire Blazers team only had 9 points in the fourth. Luka Doncic, when the game is tight in the fourth quarter, has performed way over league averages. Jalen, what does it tell you from a player this young who's this good in the clutch?
I'm really impressed with this 19-year-old. And we talked about Russell and Harden and Jokic trying to put up Wilt-type numbers. How about this year's rookie class that has had 6 performers score at least 30, led by Luka, who in my estimation already has become one of the best players in the league. No question about it. I'm going on wax to say that right now. He can do it from all phases. Clearly can shoot the 3 off the catch and off the dribble. Clearly play mid-range, clearly finish at the hoop, and is a mismatch nightmare to the point, if you notice against Portland, everybody except Dame and CJ had to cover him because he's the primary ball handler and he has size. And his level of productivity and his poise has been so very awesome to watch. His trajectory, the sky's the limit. And so for the Mavs to put KP Porzingis with him, they're going to have a dynamic duo going forward. And the other thing about the Mavs that people aren't discussing, they also freed up a spot to sign a max player. So they're going to be somebody that you watch for in free agency as well.
One thing I love about Luka's game is, like, James Harden runs the pick and roll, but he runs the pick and roll to get a switch so that he can go past that defender. Luka runs the pick and roll, reads the defense, and makes the appropriate play. When you watch Luka play, he does this so well. I absolutely love it. And Luka had something very interesting to say about the difference between playing in Europe and playing in the NBA. And Jalen, I don't know how you're going to feel about this. He said, here in the NBA, it's easier to score compared to Europe. Of course, in Europe, the court is smaller, and there is the 3 seconds rule here. I think it's easier to score here. Jalen Rose, do you think it's easier to score in the NBA than Europe?
All of the players that are playing in Europe, guess where they want to perform? The NBA. So this idea by Luka and by Mark Cuban, who publicly came out and basically paraphrasing and said he would like to see American-born players basically go overseas to gain a level of experience because that will make them a better basketball player. I guess he's never heard of LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Kawhi Leonard or Steph Curry. But with that being said, I understand that he has a level of confidence because the Mavs have given him the ball and let him do his thing. But I'm not going to act like it's easier to perform in the league than it is in Europe. But he's played in both. I haven't.
I just feel like he should have said it's easier to score here in the NBA because they have defenders here like Jalen Rose. I think that's all he had to say. That's all he had to say to make his point. Jalen Rose had some time this weekend partying with Jay-Z, Diddy, Beyonce, and others. I'm going to try to get him to tell some stories. Next.
This is a setup. We were being on from 2 in the morning and joking about the execs not watching the show. So now we on at 2 in the afternoon for an hour while execs in their office.
So here's what execs do at ESPN. They've got 2 monitors, one on ESPN, one on ESPN2. Those 2 monitors are on all day long with the sound off. You know, the topic bars that go at the bottom of the screen, we'll just have those not match what we're actually saying. So we'll be talking about Nicki Minaj and Cardi B getting in a fight, but on the bottom it'll say, like, is Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers the best quarterback in the NFL? So if you're watching the show and what we're talking about doesn't match the topic bar, now you know what we're up to.
give the people time.